Here we go. Good morning. Thank you for watching the weather now. Time now 11:11. Good luck. We are just running a little bit behind that traditional, 11 o'clock schedule. Meteorologist Andrew Gorton here in the Weather Center. He's about to put a video in the process of putting a video with the 11 o'clock update in the weather app. So if you miss a portion of this live stream, or you just want to refer back to that new track, what's going on with Florence, that video will be in the WTOC weather app shortly. Again, free, easy to download, Android and all Apple devices. All right, getting right to it. This is Florence. Actually continuing to look a little less organized, even though it's going over the Gulf Stream, even though conditions not that unfavorable for re-strengthening. It's just having trouble, and a lot of this has to do with the internal structure of this storm. Again, it has to be just perfect to really make the most out of those good ingredients, because even if the environment around Florence or any other hurricane is absolutely pristine and perfect, if there are complex physical things going on inside the hurricane, it'll keep it from really tapping in to those features and to that wonderful environment. So what's going on right now? We have sustained wind, 105 miles per hour, still Cat 2, but actually a little bit weaker than it was earlier this morning. And what I'm really watching for here, and what I think is going to be the trend or the real update with future updates from the Hurricane Center, is going to be the slowing of the movement. Notice northwesterly movement now at 10, was 15, then 12, then 10. That slowing has definitely begun, and it's going to continue moving northwest, then west-northwest, then more westerly, maybe a little bit south of due west, and then continuing to move inland. So here we are Saturday morning. It's still in the PD of South Carolina, or at least in that vicinity. Is it going to follow that center line? No, but very likely over the PD, maybe still over southern southern North Carolina coast, or maybe, local terminology. I'm not sure if they would call that the lower Carolina coast or the southern North Carolina coast, but whatever they refer to that as, definitely that area, the PD of South Carolina, over to the Wilmington metro area. So for everyone watching right now, thank you for watching, whether it's on Roku, Amazon Fire, Twitter, Facebook, a lot of places to watch this news weather app. But if you have any questions, you're watching on a platform that I can't converse with you, feel free to go over to Facebook. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Hey there in Elbel, Billy, Walt, hello to you. D, watching from Wilmington, North Carolina. D, you're still under the gun. You're starting to get your first outer bands up there in Wilmington, North Carolina. Certainly thoughts, prayers your way. Hopefully you're hunkered down. You are prepared and ready to go. Nicole wants to know about Savannah. Carol wants to know when tropical storm winds reach Savannah. The thing here is that it's not even a guarantee. There is a chance the tropical storm force winds could reach Savannah. So I'm going to show you the impact, the latest thinking here in just a moment. But first, an update from the National Hurricane Center. And really, there's no surprise here. There's no huge shift, but confidence increasing as we get closer and closer and closer into that landfall time period. So the cone is going to keep shrinking because we're getting closer and closer to these interval times here. But the cone is still wide off to our north and west because it's further out in the future. There is simply more uncertainty in that forecast. So forecasts have sustained winds at 110 miles per hour this evening, so they are expecting that to re-strengthen a little bit. It's a little skosh, still Cat 2. Can't quite rule out that it jumps up to Cat 3 here over the open waters, kind of crossing the Gulf Stream there. But remember, that's just a category, just a number. This is going to have quite a bit of surge with it. It's going to produce torrential rain, historic flooding, and it will still have just damaging to destructive winds here as it moves into the lower Carolina coast, or perhaps the PD of South Carolina. Alicia just chimed in here. The update's still about the same from this morning. Yes, Alicia, it's about the same from this morning. There have been no drastic or significant changes. Kathy and Pembroke, thank you for watching. Stephen, even thank you for watching. Appreciate the viewership, no matter where you're watching from, even if it's outside of the coastal empire in the low country. Risa says, I'm concerned about flooding and power outages on Wilmington Island. I would not be concerned about flooding, but definitely there could be some gusty winds there, enough of a gusty breeze to knock down some limbs, create some isolated to scattered power outages, but we're not expecting anything widespread at the moment. Emily, would the slowing down of the movement not give the high pressure system more of a chance to bring it further south? It could if it sat there long enough, but remember, all of this is modeled. It's behaving pretty close to what we were expecting. We knew that motion would gradually slow. Technically, if it slowed earlier than anticipated and high pressure had more time to build and kind of flex its muscles, it would be possible to have a more westerly motion. But remember, folks, look at where it is now. Even due west of here, north of Charleston, even if it were to turn due west right now, that would put it into the Charleston Metro, more so the PD of South Carolina, but that's not the forecast. It's still moving, not even west-northwest. Per the latest advisory, it's moving northwest towards, technically even near, Morehead City, North Carolina, but that bend is going to occur back to the west. That is in the forecast. There is some wiggle room here. Hurricanes always wobble. They don't follow straight lines, but in general, this is expected. Nothing unusual that I'm seeing, regardless of model data, that is throwing up a red flag for me here in the WTOC Weather Center. Jessica, could we possibly lose power in Jasper County? Here we go. I know you're probably ready for me to talk about impacts, and here we are. Later Saturday, Sunday, that is what this is for. It's a little breezy out there today, going to be a little windy on your Friday, but later Saturday, Sunday, we have the greatest chance. Again, not a certainty, not everyone's going to see this, but the greatest chance of having some nasty weather in the area. So while you're looking at this, thank you for watching, Risa. I appreciate the viewership. Hey there, Jennifer. Riri up in Beaufort, no significant updates. Mickey says, we loved Andrew when he was on Albany at WLB 10. And you can love Andrew on WTOC weather app. All you have to do is watch our stream there. You can catch Andrew weekday mornings, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in the weekends, in the evenings, and of course filling in just about every time slot there. You can catch his forecast for our area, no matter where you're watching from. Let's see. Caitlin, will we see anything in Port Wentworth near I-95? If so, when? Later Saturday, Sunday is your time to watch. Robert, later Saturday, Sunday in Sylvania. Pat up in Beaufort, later Saturday, Sunday. Again, everybody's time is later Saturday, like Saturday evening into Sunday. Remington, great question. What about the tornado threat? It is extremely low on the present track. Even if we had a significant shift to the south, it would still be very low for where we are here. Now, as this pulls away in the North Georgia Monday, some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms will be watching on its somewhat south and eastern side. By that time, it's going to barely even be a tropical system and probably just a remnant low pressure. But we'll be watching for that possibility. But as far as this weekend is concerned, not as much of a tornado threat here locally. Carolyn, you're very welcome. Diane, Monday for Savannah, Richmond Hill. John wanted to know about Hilton Head. So many coming in. If you wonder why I'm looking down at my phone, apologize. Don't mean to be disrespectful, just making sure that I get the questions that are coming in. And I know everyone wants to know their specific town. I can't tell you about your specific neighborhood yet. I can't tell you about your specific community. But what I can tell you is that this really applies to the low country areas north and east of the Savannah River. So we're talking about a decent shot at gusts to 40, maybe 45 miles per hour later Saturday into Sunday. This severe wind gust, it can really cause some problems out there, tree damage, power outages, a low risk of that occurring. Heavy rain causing street flooding, a low risk of that occurring. Heavy tides, or high tides, I should say, causing coastal flooding and tide flooding. The risk of that is perhaps the lowest based on all the most reasonable data, the consensus of the data. A very low risk of tidal flooding here for the coastal empire, even Beaufort County. So this is the latest. Now, the further south and west you go, if you're asking about your community and it's south of the Altamaha, Kathleen, will it flood on Tybee? Looking unlikely at the moment. Maybe tides running a little bit high. Amanda, what about tornadoes in Swainsboro? Risk is extremely low. Again, we are going to be on the south and the southwest side, not the favored spot for tornadoes. Again, never say never, but definitely not our most likely risk. All right, going to, you know what, let's go ahead and I'm going to walk you through a forecast model, and this is the European model. I know people have been model crazy. I don't like to show that many models. I'd rather interpret the data, give the forecast, try to simplify it as much as possible, unless it is necessary to show some of the data, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So bear with me while I load this up. Again, not the prettiest picture. You know, the resolution is not the best on this particular forecast model, but keep in mind it's also just a computer. It's not perfect. and subtle fluctuations in this data are certainly possible, but this is going to be the furthest south solution we've actually seen out of any of the data, and this is just one computer model, so let's keep that in mind. All right, let's establish the bearings. Now, our area, Coastal Empire, our area, Low Country, North Carolina, about Myrtle Beach, about Wilmington, about Morehead City, the Outer Banks, there we are, and there's big old Florence out there, out to sea. As hurricanes go, a little bit bigger than average size now, but still not the biggest hurricane we've ever seen. You know, about average to maybe just a bit bigger than average as far as the wind radius is concerned. Remember, that's what we measure, not cloud to cloud, but wind radius. All right, going forward. Oh, the data cut out. That's weird. Maybe having some data inflow issues here. Let's see. Oops, that's why. All right, editing this back now. Let's see. We're going to go ahead. That's weird that it cut out like that. But, again, going forward. All right, bear with me. I'm going to... Not sure what's going on here, folks, with this computer, but we may be starting to get some of the data in. Our computers tend to lag some of the real data that comes in, so let me show you something else, and we will talk about, in fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pull another computer into here, so bear with me. I'm going to step right out of the camera. I'll be right back. We're going to take a look at a model website here, free public data, and I'm going to show you some of the forecast model solutions, some of the newer data coming in, and I think that'll kind of help you understand exactly what is going on. And we're going to go ahead and pull that up now, and we will look at the next 48 hours specifically. So just bear with me. I apologize. I'm having to step out of here, and it's a little bit troublesome, a little bit inconvenient. All right, so we're going to zoom down in. This is the GFS, just one of many forecast models we look at. Remember, these are computers. We love to think they're perfect. They're always right, but they're not. So please remember, the forecast stands. Even after I look at all of this data, the forecast I just gave you is about the same as what all this data is saying, barring some subtle fluctuations there. All right, here we are. This is going to be tomorrow evening. The closer these lines are together, the windier it is. These black lines right here, the green indicating precipitation rate, the heavy rain being the oranges, the reds, the purples, the lighter rains being the greens. And what we mean by 6Z Saturday, this is late Friday evening, and it's still up in the PD of South Carolina. Going forward in time, just a little bit more. You know, this is the American model, one of several that we look at. I'll show you the other here in just a moment. Notice where the black lines are closest together, Midlands of South Carolina on up into the Piedmont area of North Carolina. Heaviest rain is on its north side. That is crucial. This storm will not remain a perfect circle, and it really isn't now, or a perfect sphere, whatever you want to call it, after landfall. The impacts are going to be worst on its north side. So if we lived in Charlotte, even though it was coming into our south, I'd be like, folks, in Charlotte, the weather's going to be pretty rough. But because we're on the south side of the circulation, this storm in particular looks to be a little drier on the south side. In fact, this particular model, just one of many that we look at, is keeping us mostly dry even late Saturday evening and going a little bit more forward in time, a little bit further in time. Finally, we get a little bit of moisture moving in late Sunday evening, but just showers. Again, this is not going to be a huge rainmaker as it looks right now, and I just want you to be aware we're giving you the chances of tropical storm force winds, kind of a worst case right now as it looks, a worst reasonable case, something that has a decent chance of occurring, but it's still kind of on the higher end of the impacts. We want you to be prepared for that. This model is not, you know, gung-ho with extreme winds or heavy rain, even in the low country. Kristen, what are we going to see in Metter? Alicia is obviously making, she doesn't feel confidence in our forecast, and that's okay. She has a right to that opinion. But I definitely think that I went to school for meteorology, minor in atmospheric sciences, undergrad research. I do have my certification, and I'm going to be here giving you the forecast. But there's a lot of information, a lot of good information out there. Just make sure you have great resources. And again, your source of information is up to you. But this is just one computer model. And remember, the European, which I'm showing you now, has shifted. It shifted a couple days ago and showed a direct impact here to the coastal empire and the low country. It ain't showing that anymore. It's gone a little bit further north. We'll have to see how these 12Z, these early afternoon model runs behave. We're going to get some of the European data here about 1:30, 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon. But even last night's run of the European model does bring it a little closer. The turn would have to happen pretty soon, and then more of a southwesterly jog for this to occur as it is depicting. I know this is a different map and different colors and different icons. I think this is going to be, and this is one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like to show these all the time on TV. It's kind of hard for folks to understand. Not everybody, but folks that just want a quick forecast, they want to know what they're going to get right now. This is a little bit troublesome, but I'm trying to satisfy some that want to compare the models and see what it's showing, so we'll do that. This is more of your worst case, still coming into our north, still lopsided on the north side. So for those in Savannah and the Coastal Empire, again, on the south side, these are winds way up above the surface, not at the surface. So it's a little windier up here because that's way up in the, not quite the cloud tops, but up above our heads, above the treetops and stuff like that. Still well to our north near Augusta, kind of the Aiken area, but by then more of a rainmaker, maybe some gusty winds, but really a rainmaker by that point. So I've shown you the computer models. Going to step back out again. Those are the two big ones we look at. One says more northerly, one is a little more southerly, but still mostly north of the Coastal Empire and the Low Country. And this will be lopsided. We already have southerly wind shear. I've been showing you that on the maps all morning long, and we'll continue to have that. So it'll be kind of lopsided north. A lot of the worst impacts will be on the north side of this system, especially after it makes landfall. So those are computer models. Bear with me one moment, and we can kind of talk about why we're seeing these shifts over the past few days in that computer model data. We'll talk a little bit more about this. I'm just switching over my weather computers. And again, there haven't been too many changes out here this morning. Even last night's data was pretty consistent, and we saw the impacts lessen a little bit, or the potential impacts lessen just a little bit. So here are the players. This is what's causing the issue with these big old fancy room-sized computers that we use here, or in the United States and in Europe and these places that put out this information. All right, Noel, what about all the power outages forecast? Isolated to scattered power outages. That's what we've been talking about, isolated to scattered. Morgan wants to know, do we have an update power outage map? No one's power is out. No one's power is out right now. We don't have any issues right now. The winds are maybe 5-10 miles an hour. It is a little bit breezy to gusty along, the Broad River, Calabogie Sound, the beaches, a little bit gustier than your average day, but no major issues today, and we don't have any current significant outages. You're very welcome, Melissa. You're very welcome, Tricia. Hopefully that helps. Moesha, we haven't heard anything from the school system here. Sarah, you're welcome. Tina says, long as thank you, Tina, for watching. Let's see. David, let's see, just bring it. Again, that's up to you. I don't particularly want any bad weather, but those statements are certainly up to you. Oh my gosh, Larry. Actually, I do enjoy that sense of humor. Jamie wants to know, great job. What website was I using? TropicalTidbits.com. Great resource. It's a guy who is absolutely into research. He's developed this website. Maybe he has some folks helping him and stuff, but really the owner of this website, his name is Levi Cohen. Awesome dude. Really a respected meteorologist and researcher and true scientist. And he has an awesome, easy-to-use website. Again, that is TropicalTidbits.com. Free, open, public data, but there are quite a few resources out there like that. But just remember, the data can be kind of complicated to read, and you have to be aware of the physical limitations that each particular computer model has in order to understand their pros, their cons, where they may mess up, and where they will be more correct. So just keep those thoughts in mind. You're very welcome, Gina. Good, glad that can help. How's it looking for Bullitt County and folks asking about Swainsboro, north and west of us? This map may be pointless to those that want to know the impacts, and I get it. I'll get right back to those impacts in just a moment. Just bear with me really quickly. I want to talk about the setup here. People are talking about the ridge of high pressure, the HP, the dome of sinking air, high pressure, that's what it is. We really kind of have two, but in reality, it's kind of a kinked ridge. We have a secondary one, a kind of an extension of the Bermuda Ridge, which is seasonal. It's always there out in the western Atlantic, and they're competing forces. remember, clockwise flow, the anticyclone, that's what a high pressure ridge is. And just know that it's wanting to pull this north. And that's why some data suggested that initially. Stronger ridge is wanting to pull this south and southwest. And here's what happens. They're going to kind of merge, and heights are going to rise to near record levels. The high pressure system centered over the north central, kind of the Ohio Valley area, extended into New England. And this is going to want to steer this onshore. So that's why we had no escape route. Did not escape out to sea. And then maybe a brush in this high pressure ridge said no, looking more likely that we will have this system have direct impacts on the coastal southeast. That did indeed end up being the case. And the European was very good at detecting that, but that doesn't mean it's always right. We've seen big fluctuations even in the European model. And its ensembles, which is basically, think about the one you see online most readily as the parent model, and has a bunch of kiddos that all have great information, and they all say a little bit of different things. And you kind of have to use that big old envelope when judging what may actually happen or what is most likely to happen. Again, that's usually a good course of action. So talking sciencey stuff here, but there's definitely the demand for it, especially with this storm system. And again, the high pressure winning out, pushing it onshore doesn't mean it's going to dive south necessarily. A low sort of risk chance of that occurring, but something we can't completely discount. That's why we're here almost 24/7 and why we encourage you to stay alert Saturday and Sunday. All right, the chance of tropical storm force winds. This is late Saturday through Sunday. Doubtful south of the Altamaha River. This is a forecast by the National Hurricane Center. Again, not a specific forecast model, more of a cumulative look at all of the data, crunch the numbers by the National Hurricane Center folks, looking at all the possibilities, and I think this is spot on. Again, we have a Cat 2 now, may try to strengthen a little bit, but slow movement that churns up the water and cools it, so you tend to get weakening. And then it's close to land. You have land interaction, supports weakening. And this is a dangerous storm. Don't get me wrong. This storm is a deadly storm that needs to be taken absolutely seriously. But on the basis of science, you can expect it to weaken as it approaches the South Carolina coast and, continues to fall apart across the Midlands. So Swainsboro, tropical storm force winds, sustained winds at 40 or greater, not likely, but possible across the low country. Now, we could see 25, 35 mile per hour gusts south of the Altamaha River and maybe 35 to 45 mile per hour gusts up to the Savannah River. And there's a low risk for some 60 mile per hour gusts, low risk there, but it's possible across the low country. So the chance of power outages Saturday evening through midday or so Sunday, as it looks right now, is certainly, isolated to scattered power outages a decent possibility for the low country. That's why I encourage you to charge your devices, have a kit ready to go. We did a demonstration this morning on the E! News at Daybreak talking about things that you can have in your kit that'll really make your life easier and safer, in that worst case. And, just be aware that the weather could be a little bit inconvenient, especially Saturday evening through your Sunday. Jessica, let's see. David, my question is, why do people wait till the last minute to stock up on stuff for hurricane season? David, you're hitting the nail on the head there. It's a good idea to always have this. So really what we're telling you now for this storm is what we tell you even when the weather's sunny outside in hurricane season. You should always have that kit. And and I know you're saying, I can't go spend a bunch of money. I can't go spend an hour extra at the grocery store. I totally understand. But maybe leading up to hurricane season during the spring, each grocery store trip, you grab an extra item that you need for your bucket. You grab it and you put it in your bucket, and eventually you have that solid kit ready to go. So if the threat presents itself, you don't have to worry about getting stuck in any lines or being interrupted or your schedule having to fixed so you don't have to change your schedule. Sorry, trying to read and talk at the same time. Obviously, it's a little difficult there for me. Jess, moving from Richmond Hill to Guyton on Sunday should be okay rain-wise. Jess, that's very questionable. I think there will be downpours around the area, but the further south you go, the lesser the rain chance. The fact that you're going up into Guyton, I would plan for some rain. Let's go ahead and plan on it, even if the drier solution ends up being correct. Again, not 100% chance of rain. If this goes into our north, it's going to wrap in dry air down sloping. It's going to kind of shift. The nasty stuff's going to be on the northern side, or at least the nastiest, and a little bit drier here on the southern side. That is the way that it looks right now. You're very welcome, Melanie. Casey, minimal overall, as storms go, relatively minimal, but we can't dismiss it. Dangerous weather, isolated severe weather still possible, particularly low country, later Saturday into Sunday. That's going to be the time to watch. Let's see. Lisa, thank you for watching. Vanessa, thank you for watching. Carol, glad that idea helped a little bit. AB Rip about the risk for tornadoes, very, very, very low at this time, unless there's a huge shift in the track. Let's see. Hopefully, let's see. Reading, I got a long post here, so pardon me there. Really appreciate tidbits. I'm glad the sciencey stuff kind of helps. And again, I know it can be confusing for some. It's really quick. I talk fast, admittedly. I'm sorry. I totally know that I do. But hopefully the sciencey stuff hurts. And if I said something that confuses you or that you think is kind of odd, feel free to message me, WTOC Cutter Martin. Even if you don't like this video stream, that's okay. There's some of those out there today. If you want to talk about weather, whatever you want to talk about, feel free to message me, WTOC Cutter Martin on Facebook. You can post on my wall. Whichever you wish, and I would be happy to converse with you. Thank you, Kathy. That means a lot. Megan says, I stay prepared. I even keep frozen bags of water in the freezer if we lose power. Throw a few of them in the fridge. Keeps things cold. Absolutely. In fact, you know what I do? Old Gatorade bottles, or sometimes I save my pickle jars. I know that sounds weird. As long as you don't fill it up all the way to the top, put some water in it, put it in the freezer, freeze it, take it out. You can use it in your lunchbox to keep things cold. You don't have to pay for the little ice kits. Or if you lose power, you can put it in your fridge and put a few of those and just don't open it frequently. And that'll help keep things cooler longer. I've done that through a few hurricanes, Rita, Ike, you know, Ike, personally, I was without power for 11, 12, 13 days, somewhere in there, and everything remained pretty safe to eat, pretty cool in the refrigerator through that time. Amanda Glad, thank you very much. That means a lot. That means a lot. I really cannot talk today. Thank you, Lisa. That means a lot as well. Teresa, should we be okay? Come back to Bluffton on Sunday. You know, Teresa, the weather has the greatest chance of being nasty on Sunday in Bluffton. So earlier Saturday or even Monday, some improvement there. Not that it's going to be horrible, but there will be the chance for suboptimal driving weather, isolated severe weather, especially in the low country, Bluffton included. That's going to be Saturday evening through Sunday. No evacuations, but we don't necessarily want a ton of people out on the roadways driving when the weather's bad either. Again, this is mainly Saturday evening into our Sunday. You're very welcome, Argelia. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. Raven, any mandatory evacuations for our area, Low Country, Coastal Empire? Chatham County, no. No mandatory evacuations for Beaufort, Jasper, Northampton counties, no Coastal Empire counties. There is a state of emergency for the state of Georgia because they simply want to have supplies ready to go and then want to kind of break down some of the red tape and the barriers that tend to limit the flow of resources and people in a potential disaster situation, even regionally speaking. Lisa, Monday, travel to Savannah. As you get into our area, better, but still scattered showers and thunderstorms. There will be very heavy rain with those, but they're going to be a little bit scattered, so definitely not the perfect drive Monday, but better than Saturday evening and better than Sunday, especially if you're coming here from maybe 75 and 16 driving east, that kind of a trip. Not looking too bad Monday, but certainly the chance for some scattered hefty downpours out there. You're very welcome, Raven. How is the weather looking for Metter? Thank you for watching, Brenda. Metter, you know, Metter, Millen, Candler, Jenkins County, severe weather unlikely, but not impossible. So let me go ahead and break down that 7-day forecast for you. And a lot of questions about the extended portion of the forecast, what different communities are going to see. Of course, the nastiest weather is likely not to arrive until Saturday evening into Sunday. So certainly we have time to watch this, and there is time for some subtle changes and thankfully some time for us to work on being even more specific with the forecast. So that is some good news. Alert days, first alert weather day, Saturday, Sunday. We want you to be alert to the possibility of severe weather in the area. Also alert to possible, you know, subtle changes to the forecast. This is not a perfect science. Hurricanes are a little bit crazy. They do what they want. It's like putting a leaf in a pool. Florence is sneaking under a ridge of high pressure, steering currents, you know, things that like to push it places and give us a very clear path that they're gone, they're out of the picture, so still some uncertainty. But really Saturday evening, Sunday into early Monday, but more scattered by Monday. These are the days to watch for some nastier weather, specifically Saturday night into early Sunday. But it's not a guarantee that the weather is going to be severe enough to cause widespread issues. Again, no mandatory evacuations. Our low country counties, Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton, nor any counties in the Georgia Coastal Empire. Nicole, how about Statesboro? You have a chance, possible or so, of seeing some tropical storm force winds late Saturday, early Sunday. Amanda, Statesboro, Bullock County will be fine, nothing major. Again, stay tuned, but not expecting widespread severe weather, and even the Hurricane Center concurs with that. There is a unlikely to possible chance, so a low-end chance of tropical storm force winds sustained there in Bullock County. Matt, have there been any restrictions for businesses to prevent price gouging? Excellent question, Matt. The state of emergency, what was declared by Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina, that puts extra rules and regulations and punishments in place to prevent price gouging. That's one of the other reasons why they are issued. So Nito, Beaufort is okay. Thank you for reporting your current conditions. Renee says Fort Stewart will be okay. Yes, I do think so. Jessup, Tawny, you could have some 25, 35 mile per hour wind gusts later Saturday into Sunday. Again, the further south and west you are from the city of Savannah, the least likely, or the less likely, should say, you are to see tropical storm conditions. So again, pulling this out, let's go back to Saturday night into Sunday. Here are the impacts on a general scale. The chance of winds gusting to 40 miles per hour, pretty likely, but they're mainly across the low country. Jessup, Odom, Screven, Waycross, Coffee, Jeff Davis counties, Hazelhurst, Douglas, over to Bacon County, Alma, Glenn County, St. Simons. You know which area I'm referring to. Your risk is low. Gusts to 60 miles per hour. Low in the low country, even lower south of the Altamaha River. Chance of heavy rain that's substantial enough to cause flooding, it's pretty low and really confined to the low country. And the chance of coastal flooding due to tides, storm tide, the storm surge combined with the astronomical high tide, that risk is low. Again, it's bottom of the scale. So that's kind of the latest there. I'm going to answer a few more questions. Donna, what about Savannah? Again, worse weather Saturday evening into Sunday. That's the time, and we may have some 40, 45 mile per hour gusts on the present or the current forecast track, not expecting any ginormous adjustments from that. So pretty confident that we will maybe have some gusts that could bring down some limbs, maybe cause isolated to scattered power outages, but overall the risk of widespread severe weather remains pretty limited here, coastal empire especially, and on up into the low country. Crystal, will the winds be bad in Gray, South Carolina? You have a low risk of 40 to 60 mile per hour winds. Marguerite, if it floods in a thunderstorm, it will flood. But Marguerite, we may not get that much rain. Let's remember that. It's about the intensity and the duration of the rain, not just how much rain over a period of time, if it's a long period. But let's say you get 3 inches in an hour, 3-inch an hour rainfall rates. You're going to get flooding. You're going to get street flooding. But if you get 30 inches, well, let's not say 30. If you get 15 inches of rain spread out over 36 to 48 hours, the street flooding aspect will be a little bit lower. It's all about the intensity of the rain a lot of times when it comes to urban drainage systems. But if we don't see rain intensity like that, which we may miss out because of this lopsided nature of the storm after it makes landfall, coastal empire especially may miss out on some of the heaviest rain. I wouldn't necessarily expect flooding, but maybe some ponding and some minor street flooding underneath the heaviest downpours. But that's why the risk is low. I'm not saying it won't happen underneath the heaviest downpours, but the overall coverage of those sort of issues will be pretty low. Ridgeland, same story for you up there, Jennifer. Let's see. Jay, thank you for watching. Chances of getting a power outage depends on where you are. Renee, if you're posting from down in Jessup, extremely low. It's possible in the low country. So, but I prepare for it. Let's just prepare for it. So if it happens, you're not inconvenienced. So let's go ahead and prepare for the possibility of power outages. Peace, love, light. When should we come back to Beaufort, St. Helena area? Improving later Sunday into Monday as the forecast looks like right now. But be careful driving through some of the stormy weather, maybe further inland, further north, further northwest. Sylvania, Rodney, again, the risk of 40 mile per hour winds, moderate for the Sylvania area. So, maybe some small limbs, maybe some isolated power outages. Rachel, could Florence move further south again? Can't rule it out, but it really never moved further south. You just saw data fluctuate. The storm itself never dove south. but the data fluctuated a little bit. So that's why you saw some chatter on social media and some shifts in the track. So I want to drive home this point. Today, not a terrible day. Tomorrow, not a terrible day. Later Saturday into Sunday, the greatest opportunity for weather that will be impactful. Let's plan for power outages, isolated to scattered just in case. And let's prepare for the possibility of isolated severe weather, especially across the low country. Your chance of any significant impacts decreases exponentially down to very, very low levels the further south and the further southwest you go from the Savannah River. You live south of the Altamaha, you will be impacted the least out of anybody as it appears right now. And we're relatively confident in that forecast, barring any huge off-the-wall changes. Of course, we encourage you to stay tuned. One way you can do that, the WTOC weather app. Not only do we have forecast videos like meteorologist Andrew Gorton sent an alert out letting you know the video is in there with the 11 o'clock track, and all you have to do is click on that to get it to load up, and the video will play there. And then further down the page, we also have other alerts, and depending on what you have selected here on the map, you can see those alerts. So you can also stream our news coverage in there. Don't know if you knew that. If we're on TV, on your TV at home, all you have to do is stream the coverage, the news programming, like a newscast. All you have to do is click Watch Live, bottom of the WTOC weather app. We're scrolling down to that right now. And as we scroll down, there's a recorded forecast. Watch Live. All you have to do, click there. You can watch whatever is on WTOC at that time as far as news programming. So time now is 11:46. The news at noon coming right up here in just a few minutes. We'll break down the latest forecast for you in just a little bit. Of course, wishing everybody the best, wishing you calm, cool, and collected activities. But stay tuned and remain vigilant and respectful of Mother Nature, and plan for the possibility of some power outages and some isolated severe weather going into the weekend, especially late Saturday into Sunday.